Bee honeybee. Scientific name, Apis. The typical honeybee is approximately 15 millimeters long, oval shaped with golden yellow colors and black bands. Originating in Africa, honeybees reside in northern Europe, eastern India, China, and the Americas. They inhabit beeswax-made hives which can often be found in the holes of trees or rock crevices. Surprisingly, bees share many characteristics as humans. For starters, they live in colonies within these hives. The hive is structured in such a way that it almost mirrors our own society. With the queen as a leader and the drones and workers as normal citizens, the similarity is almost uncanny. Another humanistic quality the bees share with the humans is that they all have distinct personalities. One bee could be a thrill seeker, while another, within the same hive, could be more inclined to reside in the hive on a hot sunny day. These bees play a tremendous part in the environment. Honeybees collect pollen and nectar as food for their colony. In the bees' process, they pollinate the plants and flowers. At a first glance, the system may seem rather insignificant. However, without the bees' natural way of pollination, over 30% of our crops will become extremely hard to obtain or even disappear. As Albert Einstein once supposedly said, if the bees disappeared off the face of the earth, man would only have 4 years left to live. And to our dismay, this may become a reality, as honeybees are rapidly disappearing. The culprits behind the major disappearance? Colony collapse disorder, pesticides, and parasites. With bees dying at an alarming rate, we need to save them.
Take almond plants, for example. The hulls of these nuts are used as feed for farm cattle and chickens. Fewer bees means fewer almonds, which could mean declining livestock and ultimately less milk, cheese, eggs, and meat production. Not to mention, almonds are used in cereal, baking, and many other food products. Beef and dairy cows would also be harshly affected by the vanishing alfalfa fields, which are used to harvest hay for cattle. Looking for that morning buzz? Considering bees pollinate Coffea arabica, whose seeds we grind for coffee, you can count that out. Without bees, our diets would consist of mostly corn, wheat, and rice, as they are wind-pollinated plants. Like your clothes, not only is cotton the biggest cash crop in the US, it also makes up about 35% of the world's fiber use. So you can forget about those blue jeans, towels, mattresses, and high-quality paper products. Simply put, we'd be living in a completely different world without bees.
With beekeepers seeing approximately 30 to 90% of their colonies dying, colony collapse disorder, or CCD, is a phenomenon that is killing off colonies everywhere. It characterizes the occurrence of worker bees disappearing and leaving the queen of the hive all by itself with some nurse bees. Without the help of the worker bees, the colony collapses. The full reasoning behind the worker bee disappearance is unknown to us, although evidence and science points to parasites or even mites. The clip next will explain the invasive creatures.
We'd like to introduce you to the varroa mite. Well, to be precise, we'd like to introduce you to millions of varroa mites. Why so many? Well, when it comes to the varroa mite, there's no such thing as just one. And if you'd like to see how an infestation starts, you need to look no further than your own bees, especially drones, as they're pretty social and like to travel between hives. Since varroa mites don't have any wings of their own, they slip into hives by hitching a ride on the backs of adult bees. And for the lucky mite, the trip includes an in-flight meal, as varroa mites will begin feeding on bee blood within a few minutes of clinging to the bee. Once they've entered the hive, varroa mites slip undetected into the vulnerable, uncapped brood cells. This is where the mites lay in wait until the bees cap the brood. Once a cell is capped, the mother mite, like a tiny vampire, climbs atop the cocoon of the developing bee, tears open a hole, and begins to feed on its blood. Within 3 days, the mother mite lays her first egg, which always develops into a male. Then, she lays one female egg every 30 hours over the next week or so in her newly acquired home under the brood cap. And as each of these female mites mature, they mate with their brother. By the time the baby bee develops and leaves its infested cell, as many as 3 fertilized mites will emerge with it, and the cycle continues. Using this strategy, the varroa mite population can grow as fast as the bee population it feeds on. But when summer ends and the bee population declines, the hive is left with a huge mite population, and that's dangerous. Too many mites in a hive will overwhelm and kill entire bee colonies. So what does that mean for everyone's favorite insect, the honeybee? Well, honeybee colonies with heavy mite infestations can't effectively pollinate or produce honey because they suffer from diseases and viruses transmitted by the mites. In fact, honeybees suffer from as many as 20 different mite-induced viruses, including the devastating deformed wing virus, which prevents them from flying.
Scientists are also pointing to pesticides called neonicotinoids as another reason for CCD in addition to mites. Neonicotinoids are a nicotine-based pesticide. The pesticide is used for killing crop-eating animals and pests, but it also affects the central nervous system of bees when they consume contaminated nectar. And since the bee brings back the nectar to the hive, the whole colony is affected, leading to mass confusion and disorientation.
Bees are really important for their honey, and they pollinate plants and stuff.
Okay, so I think it would be really bad if we lost bees because they give us nectar, right? And so you know those currants you get at Costco? Those are really, really good, and I wouldn't be able to live without them. So for that reason, I think that's very essential to our success as a race to have bees.
So what can you do to save the bees? Well, the simplest answer would be for more people to take up beekeeping and set up their own colonies. However, most people do not have the time and resource in order to do so. There's one big way to take action. By purchasing raw, pure honey from your local beekeeper, you create a bigger demand for bees, therefore creating a bigger demand for colonies. Honey bought in most grocery stores are usually only made of unnatural preservatives and corn syrup. Real 100% pure honey helps alleviate sore throats and acts as an antibacterial application. There is hope for the bees. Many governments across the world are starting to ban the use of harmful pesticides. And with the rather new discovery of the varroa mite's destructive nature, beekeepers are taking precautions to prevent them from invading, using various safe chemicals and different inventions to get rid of the mites when the bees enter their hives. By buying local beekeeper honey and even organic foods, we can send the message that we truly care about the honeybees.